Hi, welcome to another Solocast of Talkbugittu, where we dive into the latest trend and the hidden intricacies of modern culture. ज़्यादा heavy हो गया ना? Okay. Let me simplify it for you. Let us talk about dark humor. As the topic is so on hike due to the controversy of India's Got Latent. What happens when humor get darker, more twisted, and politically incorrect? And how does that shift the culture lens through which we view what's funny? Stick around, we are diving in. Before we discuss further, let us discuss about the evolution of humor and how that humor converts into dark humor. What dark humor actually is. It's a humor that touches the taboo subjects, the kind of topics we don't typically joke about in polite society. We are talking about things like death, illness, tragedy, and the darker side of human nature. It's a humor that often gets a nervous laugh, a glance to the side, and sometimes even an uncomfortable silence. Over the past few decades, dark humor has moved from being something whispered behind the closed door to a mainstay in stand-up routines, TV shows, and even movies. Things about comedians like Louis C.K., Ricky Gervais, and Dave Chappelle, all masters of crossing boundaries. This work has sparked both uproar and adoration, pushing us to the reflect on where humor should go and who gets to decide what's acceptable. But have you think why this style of humor gained so much traction? A big part of it is the content. It's easier to laugh than to cry. As you have listened that word, tragedy में comedy है तो comedy. But if you find that comedy, then that is very funny. But if that tragedy is a tragedy, you can't laugh on it. For sure. And yet, the more we laugh, the more the lines of what acceptable seems to blur. And if we look the societal part, the impact of society expectations. So, how does dark humor influence society? Well, first of all, it sets new standards for what we expect from comedy. है ना? In the past, stand-ups and sitcoms were a bit more wholesome, like offering jokes that were relatively safe for mainstream audience. But today, it's not just content of jokes that changing, it's how we respond to them. The main thing, how we respond to them. Comedy shows are now expected to be edgy, daring, bold. If you are not pushing boundaries, some might say you are not doing your job correctly. Let's take a look at laughter in today's world. Laughter has always been a social tool, a way to connect to others, है ना? Now it also a form of validation. The more controversial the joke is, the louder the reaction, right? What does this expectation do to the average audience member? It pushes people to keep up with humor that may challenge their comfort. This is where things start to get tricky. Not everyone finds dark humor funny, and that's okay. We live in a diverse world, and what's funny to one person can be deeply offensive to another. But the pressure to laugh or at least get it can sometimes feel overwhelming, especially when comedians or media outlets insist that humor should always be pushed to the edge. So here comes the fine line. Is it helping or hurting the society? Now let's ask ourselves, is dark humor ultimately helping or hurting society? It can provide a sense of relief. It allows people to laugh about the things that scares them, that things they don't fully understand. It creates a kind of social immunity, a way to say, yes, the life is hard and messed up like hell, but we can laugh over it. On the other hand, it can contribute to desensitization. And what does that heavy word mean? That means जो sensitivity थी उसको उसका opposite मान लो. When we joke about serious topics like mental health, violence, discrimination, there is a risk of normalizing those issues. And the question is, if we laugh at something so much, do we stop seeing it for what it really is? क्या वो प्रॉब्लम इतनी कम हो जाएगी हंसने से? What a comedian says can shape public opinion. When any comedian jokes about any sensitive topic, they're not just offering entertainment, they are molding expectations about what's acceptable. So here comes the main question which arises, that what is the future of dark humor in the society, or what is the future of dark humor? Looking ahead, it's clear that dark humor is gonna stay. In fact, it might get more darker. The question remains, how much far can it go? As society evolves now, so will our relationship with humor. We are already seeing an increase in sensitivity. People are more likely to call out for the jokes they find offensive or harmful for them. But will that stifle the growth of dark humor? Or will it simply lead to a new form of comedy that finds a way to navigate these challenges without losing its edge? There is no simple answer to this question. The future of humor will likely to be a mix of challenging boundaries while also respecting the diverse viewpoint of the audience. It will be about finding that sweet spot where humor can still be edgy but also mindful of the impact it has on society. To wrap up, dark humor isn't just a comedy style, it's a lens through which we view the world. As it continues to evolve, it will shape the way we interact with humor. So, the next time you find yourself laughing at something dark, take a moment to think about why it's funny and whether it's still funny. When you take a step back, laughter can be powerful, but it can also be complicated. That's all for today's episode on Talkbugittu. I would love to hear your thoughts on dark humor. Do you think it's pushing boundaries in a good way, or is it crossing the limits? Reach out on us on social media also, that is Talkbugittu. Join the conversation. Until the next time, keep laughing, keep thinking, and keep questioning. See you soon. Bye bye.